All right, guys. Hey, this is a topic that is trending. You've probably heard about it. Being catfish. When you're, online looking at and the person you look attractive, and then you show up and you meet them, and you're like, wait, that's not what your profile picture looked like. Well, you got catfish. And so I started thinking about how applicable this is to our business and what we do. In fact, my mom about a year ago, she calls me up, and my mom is the sweetest lady you've ever met. If you know her, you know what I'm talking about. She's just almost vulnerable and gullible to her curse, so to speak, because she's just so nice, so sincere, so sweethearted. And she calls me up. She says, son, I found this guy. And she's like, you're gonna meet him. And I was like, okay, mom. So I mean, it's been a while since she's met a guy. I asked questions like, how'd you meet him? And she says, well, we just started DMing, messaging back and forth. And I said, well, have you ever seen him? She said, no, I've seen a couple pictures. I said, did you ever FaceTime him? Like, have you ever seen him? Where does he live? And she said, well, he travels. He's in the military, so he travels. He's in Nigeria or something like that, and he kind of travels around. And I said, okay, got it. And I'm like, kind of seems kind of fishy, catfishy. Like what's going on right here? And then the next week she's like, it's going good. He told me about his son and this and that, and then he asked me for some money, and I was like, what do you mean, mom? He asked you for money? Does he know that you have? You don't have any money, that I give you all your money? And she's like, I was wondering if you could. And I was like, mom, like, what do you mean he's asking your money? And she's like, yeah, but she's like, he's so sweet. Look at some of these emails. So I start reading the emails, and I'm like, mom, it looks like Parker wrote it. Like it's grammatically destroyed. And then I started looking it up. I'm like, son of a gun, man, my mom got catfished, right? And I started having PTSD to my catfishing moment when I was with a prior IMO. And I thought it was one thing, and I found out it was another, and that's what I want to get into. How do you know? And maybe right now you're currently being catfished, and we want to kind of go through 12 points. I'm sorry, 12 points of how do you know you're being catfished, some identifiers, and then we'll give you some practical things to move from that. Because hey, when you're getting catfished, man, it ain't any fun. But if what you thought wasn't, or what you thought was true wasn't true, when would you want to know about it? Well, I want to know about it right now. And so let's go through some of these practical, some of these concepts of how you know you're being catfished. The first thing that you can identify if you're being catfished, at your current IMO, is if they ask you for money. So, hey, come join the company, but it's $100 sign-up fee, or it's $300 a month. If they ask you for money, you've got a high chance, probability, that you may be getting catfished by this guy right over here. He's catfishing you. So if they ask for money, monthly membership, or if they say, hey, you got to pay for a conference, training costs money. Well, training costs you money. That means that they don't necessarily need you to sell and make money for your family to make an override. You could possibly be getting catfished. Point two, you have to sign a contract. Say you're independent. Come be successful as an independent contractor, but you have to sign this 2-year contract where you can't leave, compete, go anywhere. Well, if that's the case, what you think is your independence, your freedom, do what you want to do when you want to do it, to build your business being self-employed, you might possibly be in catfish. Point number 3, the training consists of couples, just couples. Like every time you go to a seminar, workshop, meeting, there's a couple up there, and they're telling their dream, struggle, victory. Like, we remember when we were at the grocery store, we swiped that card and it didn't go through. And then we found blank IMO and this took place. And now we, we're able to do what we want to do. And we rent a nice house in the sub. If every training consists of some couple selling the dream, given the dream, struggle, victory concept, the odds are you're getting catfish. All right, next point is this. They want you to put together a list. You say, what's a list? I don't know what. That's what I thought. What was the list? Well, a list is friends, family, cousins, aunts, uncles, a list of people. So when you give it to them, they call it, they make the sell, they're training you, and because they're training you, they get paid the commission. And in order for you to go help anybody, because there's no leads, you got to hire somebody and get them to give you lists. That's one identifier, guys, that you're possibly being catfished. Next point is this. They are never there when you need them in a home. You're like, man, everything sounded good. They said they were going to be there. I thought maybe they were the person that could show me the way forward, that cared enough about me to help me be successful. But every time I truly need them in the home, I can't get them on the phone. However, every time there's a new event that's coming up that's $599.99, oh, they're on the phone talking about that. So if they're not there when you need them most, that's a good indicator. You might be getting catfished. Next point, they post all over social media, all the places that they're going to. They're in Aruba, and then they're in Punta Cana, and then they're in Hawaii. They're on all these vacations, going on all these trips, showing off all their nice hotel rooms. And you're like, man, that looks good. That looks really good. Well, just know this. The insurance company sent them there. And all they had to do was write $30,000 and issue paid life premium. And most of the time, they're at a 50% comp. So they could be on 3 of those nice, beautiful vacations a year, be making $45,000 a year. So if you see on social media, they're on vacations once every 3-4 months, odds are they got $5.43 in their bank account, but they're all over social media posting about vacations. They're catfishing you. What you think isn't. It's a mirage. All right, next point. If the place you're working at, nobody has an integrity deal. There's no integrity partnerships. There's no ability to get an integrity partnership. You're being catfished. If the person there has 2 Lamborghinis, a Ferrari, 4 jets, and everybody else there is driving a Toyota Camry, you're being catfished. Another point. Next point is this. Every training event is rah-rah. You go there, they're slapping butts, high-fiving, shaking like little rattlers, like, they got like blowhorns or blowing stuff, and they're up there talking about how great it's going to be, that dangling carrot, like, man, one day, freedom, financial freedom. If that's the case and it's all rah-rah, you're being catfished. If the training, you don't leave and you're more empowered and more knowledgeable of what to do, how to do it. If your competency hasn't gone up and you haven't built confidence in knowing what to do at a different level, and it's rah-rah, odds are you're being catfished. Next thing is this. Top comp is below 145%, or top comp is based on having bubbles filled in to hit different levels. So like, oh, you could hit this comp, but this one leg's got to have 10 people, and one of those 10 people have got to have 5 people, and 2 of those 5 people have got to have 3 people that has 1 person, and then 2 people come from that person. If it's all bubble based and the top comp ain't that high, you're being catfished, right? You're being catfished. So, and by the way, just so you know, this is a personal story because I got catfished. These are all things that I was like, yep, and only was able to unmask this in hindsight. All right, next one is this. When you ask about renewals, you're like, hey, I didn't know about renewals, but I heard something about renewals. What about renewals? And their answer is, oh, a renewal? That's little. We have overrides over here. If that's a response, you're getting catfished. Why? Because you should have vested renewals and you should have overrides. And so if that's the answer, odds are you're being catfished. Next one is this. When someone leaves the company, right, and they change the narrative of the person. So you're working at the company and they're talking about how good this person is. Man, like they're just a good person, good family man, building a business, hard worker. Hey, go ask them for feedback. Get some, they're doing well. They're being successful. And then they leave the company and they bastardize them, right? And they marginalize them, and they start talking about, well, that person, he wasn't right. I think he may or may not have been cheating, and I think he's an addict. I think he's addicted to meth, and he may or may not be. I think he has an alcohol issue as well. And they start changing narrative, right? You know what? He actually left because he ended up getting a job as a bartender. If they start changing the narrative of you or the person that just left, that before they spoke highly of, but the moment that they don't work there no more and they left, you're being catfished. If the culture is a cult, you're being catfished. Next one is this. You don't have any lead vendors. Or you don't know the lead vendors. I'm sorry. You don't know what the lead vendors are. So you're getting leads, but they don't tell you who the lead vendors are. They pretend that they're the lead vendor generating the leads, and they're creating this dependency, right? Like, you got to come for us. We're your source. We're your provider. We're the provision. If that's the case, and you don't know the lead vendors, or they highly discourage and will ostracize you if you go out and try to get your own leads from a different lead vendor, you're being catfished. That's another point. That's another identifier. All right, next one is this. Last one is this. They say they're making a lot of money. The person you're being interviewed, they're like, man, we're killing it. It's going good. But then you say, hey, can you show me your bank account? Like, I'm just curious. Can you show me your bank account? And they say, dude, that's weird. Why would you ask me to see my bank account? You're being catfished. If they won't show you their bank account, commission statements, what's going in, if they don't show you that and you ask, you're being catfished. So those are the points. Those are the main points to identify. So you can, if you're getting catfished, when would you want to know? You want to know now or later? You want to know now. What do you do about it? Well, once you're aware of it, you got to start looking and figuring out what's the best place. Now you can say, Paul, you are biased. You work with Family First Life. That's true. But the moment I got catfished, I looked up and I realized this ain't going to happen again. No more catfishing Paul. I'm going to figure something out. I'm going to plant my flag and feel good about it. And I was able to look at everything out there. And to me, objectively, not subjectively, not because this person thought it was the best, they all think it was, objectively, numbers, comps, renewals, no contract, all these things I could weigh. The amount of people seeing success, the average issue paid producer, how many agencies are doing over $1 million a month, which I think FFL's got like 20 plus agencies doing over $1 million a month in paid business. Objectively, if that's the case, then you want to reach out. You want to reach out and have a conversation. Also, you have to, I like what Sean Mike said. He said, you gotta tuck your ears. Because what's going to happen is everybody start calling, what are you doing? What are you thinking? And they're going to start trying to demean and defame where you're going. And if that's the case, and even if it ain't here, heck, if you're being catfished, just go somewhere where you're not getting catfished. This is easy to identify. But tuck your ears. Don't listen to what's being said about you. Don't listen to them demeaning and acting like where you're going is the worst thing ever. Don't listen. Tuck your ears. I had to tuck my ears. I had to tuck them up, folded them up, put earmuffs on, and I had to put blinders on. And then just go there and commit to it. And don't let your past catfishing experience influence the future that you're going to, right? I told my mom, I said, Mom, I love you. Don't let that one dude catfishing stop you from finding the right dude, And the same thing in this business. Don't let the prior catfishing experience influence or mess with you and causing you to not fully commit to the one that you're moving to. So guys, I hope this brings some awareness to it. I hope you got a lot from it. And if you're getting catfish, man, let's roll. Jump in a different pond and don't play that game. All right, guys. See ya. Take care.